a.m. The Sports Bar on Talk Sport.
All right, fans, here we go with the main event of the evening.
Hello, my friends. Good evening to you. Happy Friday and welcome to another Andy Goldstein Sports Bar with me, Andy Goldstein. My wingman tonight is the wonderful journalist Matt Scott is in the house. Scott, good evening to you.
A very good evening. Very good evening to you.
Huge show tonight begins, of course, with your views on tonight's game from the London Stadium that saw West Ham all but end Tottenham's title chances, beating them by a goal to nil. So, Spurs fans, does this mean another season of failure? Why can't Spurs do it under pressure when it really matters? And it's only going to get worse with next season's home games at Wembley and the following season getting used to their new ground. So, was this Tottenham's best chance to win the title? And West Ham fans, where's this performance been all season as well? 08717 223344. Dial that number, have your say live on National Radio, because this is the only sports show on National Radio taking your calls Monday to Friday from 10 p.m. to 1 a.m. It's Andy Goldstein Sports Bar. It's the last show of the week, but I'm guessing it's going to be a busy one on the line. Spurs fans, West Ham fans, and phones, get dialing 08717 223344.
Driven the ball home. Chelsea, they might just think about ordering that open-top bus now. It's West Ham 1, Spurs 0. Nancy Taylor blows the whistle anyway. West Ham 1, Spurs 0. Spurs will not be Premier League champions this year. Chelsea, in the next 7 days, have the chance to wrap up the title. Spurs fans are going home. Spurs players are on their knees. They know they've blown it. Full time here. West Ham 1, Spurs 0.
Horrible. You lot are horrible in there. But listen, we all take it from time to time. 08. All right, don't rub it in too much. It's hurting them. 08717 223344. Spurs fans, come on National Radio and tell me why yet again it's another season of failure. Matt Scott alongside me. Scotty, good evening to you.
Oh, very good evening to you.
Let me point first off point out by saying you called it. You said there will be 1 goal maximum tonight and Spurs could lose.
Yeah.
Why did you get it right and Spurs got it so badly wrong?
Not been many goals from anyone over the past couple of weeks, and Spurs' last win away from home. In fact, actually, it was their only London derby win, as far as I understand it. Was away from home this season, despite being the undisputed kings of London this season. That's without question, and credit where it's due. It was a 1-0 win against Palace, and I sort of felt that this would go Spurs' way, but in a narrow victory, because London derbies are tough, and the pressure was getting to them. But after 15 minutes, you know, I watched it and thought they're beginning to bottle this. There's no fluency to Spurs. There's no width. There isn't penetration. I really did feel that the pressure was getting to them, because you'd said to me before the game, you know, what happens? Chelsea will fall apart, won't they, if Spurs have got this?
Well, not quite that. I just said for the first time they're going to gain 1 point in front, and maybe the pressure could start sneaking in. But, you know, Spurs needed to win tonight. It was a game that on paper, everyone, including the bookies, they gave West Ham at home 7.5 to 1 to win that game. Yeah. Spurs were 5-2 on. Yeah. That tells you everything you need to know about who was meant to win this game.
Absolutely. I mean, well, and why not? Because they can come into the game, fourth bottom, fifth bottom, 39 points, still not mathematically safe, if you like, under the rules of 40 points being the one. But the incentive was there. This is the opportunity for the London Stadium to build some of that new history. This is one of those games that people are going to go back, and West Ham fans are going to go back and say, look, I was there, I remember that. You know, though it's a Pyrrhic victory, it doesn't win West Ham anything. It does deny their bitter rivals something. And, it's lifted them six places in the Premier League now.
They're up to 9th now in the top 10. Just a quick word, because I want to go to the phone line. Spurs fans want to have their say. Quick word about Slaven Bilic. It was reported in various newspapers that he had 2 games to save his job. Wonderful performance tonight. A lot of that performance tonight was down to him and his organisation. Why has he got it so right tonight and at other times throughout the season he hasn't?
He's been 2 games away from the sack all season, effectively. I don't, though, think... I mean, that's the word that's been leaking out, but I don't really think they mean that, the owners. I think they recognise that they shoulder some of the blame. The reason why this season hasn't gone well for them is they have been moving stadium, for the starters. They have lost their best player in very controversial circumstances in mid-season. They have suffered enormous injuries over the course of the season. Even tonight they were missing probably 4 potential starters, if not certain starters. So for all those reasons, it's been a rough ride for Slaven this season, and I've got tremendous sympathy for him, actually. I don't feel that this has been a particularly good season for him. Terrible signings before the season started, not all down to him, but down to Tony Henry, the chief scout, and the owner, David Sullivan. So, give him a bit of time. As Moose was saying before kick-off, give him a bit of time, give him a bit of money, and take the pressure off, and let's see what he can do.
West Ham fans, you can have your say, just as Spurs fans can as well. 08717 223344. It's going to be busy, it always is. So if you've got something to say, get in early, have your say, pick up the phone. Michael is a Spurs fan. He's done just that. He's first up. Michael, good evening to you.
Good evening, Michael.
Good evening, mate. Yeah, I am really unhappy about tonight. I was hoping that we would actually beat West Ham. Fair play to West Ham. They played us off the park, basically. I mean, I listened to it on the radio, I've never heard Tottenham play as bad as what we did tonight. Yeah, we beat the Arsenal last week, which I'm pleased about that after 22 years. I was hoping we would close the gap on Chelsea and then put the pressure on Chelsea for them to lose against Middlesbrough and then us to win against Man U. But yet again, year in and year out, it comes down to 4 games that are left, and we always seem to muck it up. And I can't understand why.
Michael, let me ask you, is it failure?
To be quite honest, mate, I don't know. I mean, last season, we were second in the table. Leicester were top. We had a chance of doing it then. We drew against Chelsea 1-1. Our heads went down. The major lose that we had, which I hate to say this, was against Newcastle. 5-1, end of the season, At the end of the day, I don't know. We do so well during the season, but when it comes to the second half of the season, that's when we seem to sort of drop it down. And I just can't understand why. I mean, we've got a decent manager, we've got decent players out there. Don't get me wrong, they're all bloody brilliant. But for some reason, we just seem to flop right at the end. And I can't understand why we do it year in and year out.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, years and years ago, it was Tottenham were mid-table or whatever, but now we're getting into the top 4 year in and year out again. We're getting into Champions League, which is nice, instead of the Europa League, which most football fans would call it the Tottenham Cup, but this time we're not calling it that.
I see what you're saying, Mike. I see what you're saying. Let's go to Rob. He's a Spurs fan. Lots to get through tonight. Rob, good evening.
Hello, Andy.
Hi, Rob. Off you go.
You good? Yeah, gutted about tonight, but let's be honest, it would have probably ended in a couple of weeks when we played Man U when they'd have parked the bus. You know what I mean? We wouldn't have beaten Man U. We'd have got a 0-0.
You don't know that? You don't know that?
Yeah, come on, we know that. I mean, he goes for a draw every game, Andy.
But Rob, if for supposition United were in the Europa League final, Jose might have rested the majority of his men for that game at White Hart Lane.
Yeah.
You don't know that, Rob. But the fact is, you don't get that close to it. You'll never find out.
Well, we're close to Man United, aren't we? We've done it for last year. Everyone wanted Leicester to win it last year. Great.
I didn't.
You know what I mean? Fair play to them.
I didn't.
You know what I mean? They won it. Everyone... I mean, psychologically, yeah, it did take the stuffing out of us. But this year, I thought, even in the FA Cup semi-final against Chelsea, we smashed them in the second half. You know what I mean? But they scored at the right time. I mean, just those certain things. West Ham, it was their cup final tonight, like it was last year. You know what I mean? And then if West Ham, Arsenal and Chelsea, they pull out all the stops to beat Tottenham. They do. Like it or love it, they do.
Why don't you pull out all the stops to beat them then, Rob?
Well, we try, but it's West Ham's cup final. What did West Ham play for tonight? Nothing.
What's yours too, though, Rob? Goodness me, you're 5 games away from winning the title. And what more of an incentive do you need for that?
Listen, week in, week out, it must take a toll on them. But listen, I don't see it as a failure this season.
Is it success? Is it success? Losing?
What, losing tonight?
No, losing. You're trying to win the title. If you don't win it, that means you've lost it. Is that success?
But yeah, trying to win the FA Cup. Is that a failure losing the FA Cup? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you could say that about
it is.
The other 92 teams. Any other season, Andy, we would have won the league.
Wait, last season, you didn't win it? What do you mean any other season? You haven't won it since 61.
78 points last year, we would have won the league.
Well, what stopped you?
Everyone pulls out the stops, don't they?
I think that's nonsense, Rob. That's utter nonsense. Everyone pulls out the stops.
Look,
you telling me West Ham didn't raise their game tonight?
Yeah, but they always do in a London derby, Rob.
Exactly.
Why don't you raise your game? Why don't you raise your game?
But Rob, they do against when they play against Arsenal. They do when they play against Chelsea. They do. That's the nature of London and why it's been really quite tough for London clubs to win it. There are so many derbies. You know, you do drop points in the most hard-fought games. What I will say in Spurs' favour, Rob, is that you've got 9 games. 9 wins in the last 10. That is extraordinary. Had you gone and won the title now this season, it would have been 13 games on the spin. Only one team has ever won the league by putting a 13-game run together at the end of the season, and that was Arsenal when they won the double. Chelsea did it this year. 13 games is what won them the title in mid-season. And the only time that's ever been done as well. So, this was an extraordinary thing. The odds were stacked heavily against them. The fact that it's happened after 9 games is extraordinary. They've done brilliantly, but it was never going to happen.
But they've failed. They have failed.
Well, unfortunately, the failure was always going to happen because the other thing is, not only did they have to do so much, but Chelsea had to drop so many points, and they weren't going to do that either.
08717223334. We've got lots coming up on tonight's show, of course, including the first look at tomorrow's back pages tonight, but we'll concentrate on all your calls, not just Spurs, but West Ham and football fans. You can have your say live on National Radio. Get dialing.
West Ham 1, Spurs 0, and it's Manuel Lanzini who's driven the ball home. Good pressure from West Ham, ball in from the left-hand side. It was turned into the middle, couple of half-scuffed efforts, and then Lanzini from inside the 6-yard box said, I'm finishing this one, and he drove it into the back of the net. Spurs' title ambitions pretty much ended with a 1-0 defeat at West Ham last season. Chelsea, they might just think about ordering the open-top bus now. It's West Ham 1, Spurs 0.
Moose doing so well to remain as impartial as possible there.
As ever. Yeah.
Let's speak to Trevor, he's a Spurs fan. Trevor, good evening.
Hiya,
hello, Trevor.
Hi, Trev. Commiserations.
Gutted. But look, let me tell you something. I'm 56. I would not ever thought I'd seen a Spurs side as good as they are. Tonight, they were poor. They were hunted in packs. I thought a few players didn't show up. Particularly, I thought Kyle Walker at right back was really not on his game. It looks to me like he may well be on his way. I'll tell you what, though, I ain't half getting in the neck from some Arsenal fans, especially my mate TPC. And I'll tell you what the TPC stands for.
No, not on air, please, Trev. Let me ask you this question, Trev. Let me ask you this. Okay, let me ask you this question, Trev. Do you think you'll ever see Spurs win the league in your lifetime?
I'd like to think so, but I'm not so sure.
No.
I think this was your best chance, Trevor. This was your best chance.
Last year was most probably a good chance, but
finished third.
Listen, everyone's going on about Spurs losing it at the end. We've gone on a 9-game unbeaten run to at least make it interesting in the league.
Yeah.
We lost tonight. We've only lost 4 games all season.
Failure.
And I don't disagree with you on that. But my mate, TPC...
Yeah, you keep telling us about your mate. Okay, all right. Well, listen, mate, get your mate to phone in. I mean, we're not Heart FM. Let's speak to Nick. He's a Spurs fan. Nick, good evening.
Yeah, good evening, lads. How you getting on?
Yeah, we're good, thanks, Nick. Off you go.
Yeah, no, I don't understand all the gloom out there. Before the game, we were only ever going to finish second in the league this season. After the game, we're still going to finish second in the league this season. I've seen progress over the Spurs. I've been watching Spurs now for decades. We've had players we've gone through the players of Rolf Fox and Doherty and Timothy Atuba, and then we've gone from Garley and Mido. And you look at the Spurs team, yes, we had Modric and Bale, but they were standout players in an otherwise average side. We've now got a very strong side that last season and this season have progressed and finished in a higher league position. We've got to a semi-final of the Cup. This is a team, it's a young team that will only grow.
Nick, you've won nothing. Nick, you've won nothing.
Again.
Yeah, but Andy, who are you comparing us to?
I'm comparing Spurs to success, and Spurs have had none.
Sorry, Andy, have you?
Okay, Nick, answer me this question. Nick, answer me this question. Why is it not okay for Arsenal fans to phone up and say we finished second? We got to the semi-final of this, and everyone shout at Arsenal fans going, you failed again, and everyone agrees. Why is that the case for Arsenal but not for Spurs?
That's a good question.
Do you not remember the tussles between Arsenal and Manchester United for the league title and the FA Cup?
Doesn't matter, Nick. Nick, I'm asking why failure is not okay for Arsenal, but it is for Spurs.
No, but I'm asking you who you're... As a Manchester United fan, you are used to seeing in your lifetime...
Irrelevant of who I support. It's about... the question is about Spurs tonight.
Andy.
It's
completely relevant.
It's not, Nick.
In your lifetime...
It doesn't matter. It's not about United tonight. It's about Spurs.
Right, okay. The reason I'm saying to you about the failure thing is because in my lifetime, Spurs have never been a team that have competed for much more than 7th, 8th or 6th, maybe top weight in the league. And there are a lot of teams in that bracket. If you ask Everton fans now, who've got a decent side, they've always been a bit of a sleeping giant, but have never really had the money, never really had the infrastructure and the right manager. You ask Everton fans now, would they like to be a little bit like Spurs? Even though we're winning nothing, you ask Everton fans now.
But they are doing that. Nick, they're doing that.
Nick, are you in your 50s?
Don't
sound like, because you're talking about your lifetime. You're not in your 50s. Right. No. In your lifetime, or perhaps not in your lifetime, but certainly in the last 50 years, Arsenal have won 2 titles at White Hart Lane, which is 2 more than Spurs have. That's extraordinary.
They've won 2 titles. The titles have been won at White Hart Lane or over the course of a season.
Well, they've lifted trophies at White Hart Lane. They've done their title celebrations in front of Arsenal fans at White Hart Lane.
Right. Did they win the trophy in that one game, or did they win it over the course of a season?
All I'm saying is they've won the title there, haven't they? So
they were lucky that the fixture fell when they wrapped it up. It was a White Hart Lane.
Let me ask you this, right? Last year Spurs failed. This year Spurs failed, and constantly Spurs fans will phone up and go, "You've had a good season, it's the best team we've ever." When does that end? And the question marks about failure, when do they begin? Next year? Year after?
But when you say this season, who's looking at this? I don't understand how you can look at this season as a failure. We were 10 points behind Chelsea.
You haven't won it.
Hang on. At one point, we were 10 points behind Chelsea.
Yeah.
Chelsea, we've never been above them. We've never been top of the league. If we'd have been top of the league, even by a point or goal difference, and let it slip, I would say that's a big failure. We have always been playing catch-up. When Chelsea play I'll say this through gritted teeth. When Chelsea have played as well as what they've played this season in the league, and they've dominated teams as well as what they have, you can only take your hat off and say, do you know what, we will try to catch them, but at the end of the day, if they don't slip up, you might call it a failure, but if they don't slip up, what more can a team do? We have given our best this season.
Yeah, but exactly, you have slipped up, Nick.
No, Chelsea.
No, but you have. They haven't.
Tonight slipped up.
But the whole point is, right, listen, the whole point is we can only win the league. We've been playing catch-up with Chelsea, same as Leicester last season. We've been playing catch-up. We went through a bad spell earlier in the season where we were drawing games when we had Kane and Alderweireld out. And we were drawing a lot of games. Ali and Ericsson weren't in their flow right at the beginning of the season. And then Chelsea hit top stride. They went top. They went 10-point gap. We drew it back to 4. But the whole point is, since Chelsea hit their stride, no one has been able to get anywhere near them apart from us. Now, we've got near them, yes. But even if we had to beat West Ham, even if we had to beat Manchester United at the Lane, I think that would be a draw. But even if we would have won all of our remaining fixtures, all Chelsea have got to do is go out there and beat Borough, Sunderland, Watford and West Brom. No disrespect to fans of those teams, but Chelsea are not going to win those 4 games.
You've just lost to West Ham.
If you'd have gone tonight and hammered West Ham 4... Yeah. Which is, what could have happened. It's the kind of thing that you've done over the course of this season. You'd have been 1 point behind Chelsea. You'd have been the form team, the ones who were absolutely putting away the opposition. That could have put the frighteners on Chelsea. They'd have felt the hot breath of Tottenham Hotspur on their necks. What would have happened then?
Hang on.
You talk about slipping up. This is a massive collapse at the final whistle.
So you're telling me? I've got to get this straight here. You're telling me a team with Hazard, Costa, Louise,
come on,
Cahill,
you got
a team
Kane,
full of...
Alderweireld,
Hang on, a team full of trophy winners.
Laurie.
A team full of that experience, they're going to collapse and lose to Borough because we've beat West Ham.
Okay,
have a laugh.
two words to you, Nick. Crystal Palace.
I thought you were going to say bottle job.
Crystal Palace. They lost to Palace at home.
Yeah, but Andy, they've got to lose 2 games.
Nick, come on. They don't have to now because you lost tonight.
No, they had to, though. Andy, heart on heart, hand on heart.
No, they don't.
You tell me the 2 games they would have lost.
No, why do they have to lose 2?
Well, because there's a 4-point gap.
Right. Can they not draw games?
You've got the better goal difference.
You tell me the games that they would have lost and drawn.
Nick, they lost to Palace at home. Anything can happen.
No, look at the teams they're playing.
2
Sunderland
draws.
already down.
2 draws. With your goal difference, you'd have won it.
Hold on, Nick, hold on. When you needed a result on the last day of the season to finish second against a side that were down last year, remind me how you got on. Yeah. Remind me how you got on against Newcastle last season. Remind me. Remind me the score. Remind me the score. Remind me of the score when you played a side that were already relegated.
He's not saying it was 5-1.
I know that.
Well, so anything can happen in football, Nick. You know that. You're not stupid.
But that was to finish second, Andy.
But, Nick, you're missing my point. A side were relegated. They were already on the beach. Spurs were desperate to win. And you lost 5-1. Why can't that happen again?
So if that was for the league title, you think the result would have been the same?
Okay, so
hold on. Okay. It was for this legend St Tottenham's Day thing. You don't think they wanted to finish above our? Oh, behave, of course you do.
Okay, Nick.
Of course you do.
Nick.
Well, what do you get for finishing above them?
Nick.
Hey, they're bragging rights in around North London. North London is white. That's not something you've been able to say for 22 years.
Okay, Nick, let me ask you this. Why was my telly broke tonight? Because every Spurs player that come off the pitch looked utterly gutted. Now, if they had your... Because they knew the league title had gone. Yeah. They knew that. You didn't, but they did.
Hang on. So the league title's gone now?
Yeah.
Right, okay. So Chelsea win, and they go 7 points clear.
Yeah.
With 3 games left. You both have just berated me and said anything can happen. So there's 3 games left. Worth 9 points.
Nick.
The league title's gone now.
I'll tell you what, Nick, you're the problem with football fans, Nick. You are the prime example of what's wrong with football fans.
I'm a realist, Andy.
No, you're not.
Listen,
you're not. A win tonight would have put you 1 point behind Chelsea.
You're an apologist, Nick. You're an apologist.
No, I'm not. Listen. I'm saying to you, from where I am, I would have loved to have put more pressure on them, but I don't think it would have mattered because Chelsea at the minute are a well-oiled machine.
What
I'm trying to say to you is this.
Might have done.
From a Spurs fan, it might have. Yeah, it might have. Everything's a might have. Listen, all I'm saying to you is that from a Spurs fan, from my perspective, I'm seeing progress. I'm seeing a lot more of a fruitful future. I've got Arsenal fans at the minute, season ticket holders, good fans of mine. Some of them have turned around and said, you know what, going in the next couple of seasons, I'd rather be in your position than ours.
Nick, you're at Wembley next season.
Yeah.
Anthony Joshua's had more wins there this season than you have. 08717 22 33 44.
You just got cake. You just got cake.